The United States of America launched airstrikes targeting Iran's nuclear infrastructure over the weekend. But the question being, would it be able to stop Tehran from building a nuclear bomb? Because a very important question remains unanswered. Where is Iran's enriched uranium? And that's the question we decode on GRAVITAS tonight. Following the attack on Iran's key nuclear sites, US President Donald Trump said that key nuclear enrichment facilities, and in his words, in Trump's words, completely and totally obliterated. But satellite images in the aftermath show a more complex picture. The images show that while some parts of Iran's nuclear plants were damaged, other sections remained unaffected, suggesting that the strikes may not have neutralized Iran's nuclear program as Trump claimed. Adding to the uncertainty is the fact that Iran's most critical nuclear sites are located deep underground. And so far, there is no clear confirmation about the extent of damage beneath the surface. And earlier today, Iranian media reported fresh Israeli strikes on nuclear sites. The extent of the damage, though, was not disclosed. But even as the US and Israel conduct its damage assessment, the fate of Iran's stockpiles of enriched uranium remains unknown. Iran reportedly possesses over 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity, levels close to the 90% enrichment required to build a nuclear weapon. Right now, there's no confirmation on the current location of that uranium. US officials, including US Vice President J.D. Vance, have reportedly acknowledged that they do not know where the stockpile is. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated that it could take days before anyone can actually assess or determine whether Iran moved the materials prior to the US strikes. And some indicators suggest that Iran may have acted in advance. Satellite images captured just days before the US strikes showed some kind of unusual activity near the entrance of the Fordo nuclear facility. Multiple vehicles, including large trucks, were observed near the entrance and exit of the sites. Iranian state media later reported that key nuclear materials, including enriched uranium, had been moved to secure locations before the US strikes. Ali Shamkhani, a senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader, reinforced this claim as well. In a social media post, he said that even if the facilities were destroyed, Iran's nuclear ambitions were intact. Following an emergency meeting, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, called for the immediate return of inspectors to Iran's nuclear sites to account for Iran's highly enriched uranium stockpiles. Rossi said in a letter dated June 13th that Iran had informed the agency that it had implemented special measures to protect the nuclear materials and equipment.
The board should be aware of a letter sent to me by Foreign Minister Dr. Abbas Araghchi on 13 June, in which he mentions that Iran will, and I quote, adopt special measures to protect nuclear equipment and materials.
Well, the IAEA has not independently verified the current location or status of the enriched uranium in Iran. Apart from this, another dimension to this matter involves Iran's international allies, especially Russia. The Kremlin has publicly condemned the US and Israeli strikes. And amid all of this, the Russian President Vladimir Putin met Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Moscow today. Following the meeting, Putin said, West Asia escalation is moving the world closer to great danger.
The current international situation is changing dynamically. We can see how the situation in the Middle East has sharply escalated. Non-regional states are also being drawn into the conflict. All of this brings the world to a very dangerous line.
While Russia has not offered direct military support, statements from Russian officials hint at deeper involvement. Dmitry Medvedev, the former Russian president, has claimed that several countries are ready to supply Iran with nuclear warheads in response to US aggression. Not just that, he has further stated that Iran's efforts to enrich uranium and eventually make nuclear weapons would continue. On the other hand, White House claims that Trump is still interested in diplomacy, adding that Trump thinks Iranians should overthrow their government if it refuses to negotiate on its nuclear program. The comments by the White House comes at a time when Democrats are largely united in criticizing American strikes on Iran. While Trump's own support base also seems to be at crossroads, many amongst the MAGA camp are now openly voicing their opinion and even opposing this decision. So questions remain. Has the US attack neutralized Iran's nuclear capabilities? And more importantly, what happened to the uranium enriched to near weapons grade levels?